Hello, everyone. My name is Allison Merker Garner, and I am the creator and author of Musical Minds. This video is on Musical Minds Volume 3. Musical Minds Volume 3 follows Musical Minds Volume 1 and Musical Minds Volume 2. It is for intermediate students to advanced. It's for violin, viola, cello, and piano. The focus of Musical Minds Volume 3 is chamber music. So most of the material that you find in the text, resource, and reading books, and in this supplementary chamber book have to do with chamber music. True to form for the Baroque period, the pieces are flexible instrumentation. So you can do a lot of the reading and the chamber music based on whatever instrumentation you have. So if you just have violins, do it with violins. So you can do whatever you need to and that you have available to you to use. I will show you the books. We'll go through them, but just as a little overview, in the spirit of Musical Minds, this is integrative aesthetics work. In other words, we're taking something, a genre, or a piece of music specifically, or a composer, or a chord progression, and we're taking that and placing it in the context of something that the students can do. So there's a greater understanding of that element within their learning of it. So we have in the textbook a thin volume that is history and genre. We have in the reading book the examples that are in the textbook to be studied as scores, to be read to yourself, to listen to and look at. However you want to use that reading book to supplement the textbook. It is the examples that are in there. The resource book is interesting because now that we have come from the first two volumes, we usually respond to things through language, through movement, through all the things of doing, and then into musicking. Because of the level of these kids that are taking this, we're doing some folk dance, and folk solo works are examples in the resource book, and their artistic counterparts. In other words, how these folk genres or these folk forms became the dances that we know as gavotte or bourrée or minuet, and how those might look in a way that Mozart for the early part of the classical period or Bach in the Baroque period would have written it. So we have the correlation between those two. We also look at chord progressions and being able to take a ground bass and start to improvise over that. What does that look like? How can that work? And so those examples are also in the resource book. So that's where we have those other ways of experiencing music. It's in the resource book. The chamber book is its own thing. It has the flexible instrumentation, but it has examples of pieces from the Baroque or early classical periods that are written for the children to play, to perform. You have the option in the piano part to do just one hand or both hands. So if you have somebody that doesn't read as strongly or isn't as comfortable playing all the notes, that's fine. You can just do the bass. So there's some flexibility there for the students that you have. So let's look at some of the books. Let's first look here at the textbook. And the cover, oh, I should bring the cover out. Let me give you the cover first, because that will give you a visual that I think will be nice. Here's the cover for the volume 3s. Okay, so here is the cover. And when we have the resource or the textbooks, of course, it would say that on the front. So let's look at the textbook first. And the textbook, as I said before, is not a really thick book. It's really pretty small. And as you see from the table of contents, we start with a little bit of an introduction into the Baroque period by doing one medieval piece, one organum, and one Renaissance piece. These are not for performance. Remember, these are just to get a feel for the genre and the style period. So these are not designed to be performed. All right, for the Baroque period, we are into different genres: Renaissance form and Baroque instrumental music, Renaissance vocal form and style and instrumental music, and so forth. And then we have the dances and we have the keyboard pieces. So that gives you an idea of how it's structured. Here are the pieces that are examples that we do in this book. And then we have the book itself with a lot of color, a lot of interest in the, whoops, here we go. And let me show you the examples that we have in here, so you see how this works. Okay, here are the examples, right? Here are the examples. Oh, actually, this is the reading book, isn't it? Huh. So, okay, so here are the examples. Here's a violin 1 part. Here's violin 2, violin 3 or viola, and then cello, and you could use the piano for that as well. And you have also a score, and I encourage the students to mark the score so that they can look at where their part is and what's going on in the other parts. I think that's an important thing. So either we're looking at it from the standpoint of form, we may be looking at the key changes, we may be looking at how the parts are imitative or homophonic, anything like that. So that's a way of playing with it. All right, so let's take this out and look at the text for this. So here's the text, and this is what you'd find in the textbook. Just a sample. You wouldn't find the whole piece. You'd find a sample of the score. And the separate parts comes in the reading book. They're exactly the same things. Okay. So, and once again, they're just for reading through or looking at. They're not for actually rehearsing with or practicing. So this is the textbook. So let's look at how the resource book ties in with this. So in the resource book, we have the same setup with going from medieval through Renaissance into Baroque, right? But look at how we're doing it. We're looking at triads and inversions, and then we have a Planxty-Johnston tune that we can read through. We have a couple of other tunes that we can read through. These are all pieces that are either instrumental or dances or both. You can see here we even have an opportunity to do a dance with Orff instruments, as well as strings and keyboard, if that's what you choose to do. And then we get into improvisation. So we go first through cadences, and then the bass lines, and then the improvisation over the bass lines. And then we're into the art music. So what does that look like? Let's see what that looks like. Okay, there are the triads and inversions. You have a chance to actually write in some of that. If it is a workbook. Now, here are D major is an O Carillon tune, and then you've got it in C major. And then you've got it in the viola part in G major. So you got a little bit of transposition in here. You have an opportunity to take some of these tunes and make a set out of them, which is kind of fun. And then I wanted to share with you how this all works with the, as the Sellinger's round. Okay, we're still into that first part. Okay. Here we go. So this next part, Baroque improvisation, melody, harmony, cadences, and grounds. Okay, so here's where we get into a little bit a chamber exercise, but you've got the basic cadences. And then in the keys that are found in the folk tunes, right? So there we have those. And then we can do a different kind of rhythm and explore different rhythms on those cadences to start playing with rhythmic improvisation, right? Then we can get into improvising over a ground bass. So Greensleeves, for example, we have a ground bass in that, right? With a melody over it. We can take that ground, or we can take a different ground, like a chain ground, ascending ground. We have a number of them to play around with and being able to find melodic notes over them. First, you may just play the ground. Then you might just play 2 notes for each measure, and as the ground is being played. So you ease into it very, very gradually. And then the third section is the Baroque dances, the art music from the period, and all the different kinds of rhythms you can find in there, right? Some of these are set up as piano pieces. Some of them are set up, as you see here, like a duet. So you've got different ways of experiencing these different Baroque dances. All right. So that gives you an idea of how Musical Minds 3 is organized. Musical Minds 4 focuses on the next period. So you'll get some of the classical period and early romantic period, but it is set up the same way as Musical Minds 3. Thank you.